Hi, Zizaran here with some Last Epoch news. If you have not been following closely, Last Epoch has delayed their launch to the 17th of April, and this is obviously following the news that TGG were going to be posting their 0.2 patch for Path of Exile 2 on the 4th of April, only 2 days after Last Epoch was initially going to launch. I obviously think this is the right call because we've already seen what happened even when a Path of Exile season launched 2 weeks after a Last Epoch season. So I think going last is better. And I think they've been cooking up a lot of stuff. We are going to be talking about that in this video too. But I definitely think this is the right call. Being 2 days before a PoE season would be really bad for sales and revenue, I think. So either way, regardless of what you think, they have decided to choose April 17th. I think that's a great date. And that gives people time to play some Path of Exile. And depending if it's a large or a small patch for PoE, we don't really know yet. We are getting the announcement soon. But excited to see what they've been working on. Either way, a lot of people are pretty disappointed that TGD chose to launch so close to the Last Epoch date. So I think that definitely impacted people's opinion of TGD regardless. I really want to... The rest of the video is going to be talking about the new season for Tombs of the Erased. Me and Rax did a podcast with the Last Epoch devs as well. If you haven't seen that, super fun. And they have been doing other podcasts with other community manager members. They did one with Gazzy where Carve, maybe he's fired now. He threw out a lot of leaks. Definitely putting his job on the line to bring us the juicy stuff. I'm joking, of course, but did show some really cool stuff. Really excited with what they've been working on. Now, if you're completely unfamiliar with Last Epoch, it is honestly a really nice gap between Diablo 4 and Path of Exile, where it doesn't have insane complexity that makes you super confused, and it actually is pretty doable to do your own build. Respecs are easy, and a really big thing that they've added in this patch is the ability to respec your subclass, your mastery. For those that are familiar with Path of Exile, this is similar to your ascendancy, and previously that was a permanent choice. Now you can actually change it, which is a really big deal in my opinion, and I'm really glad they moved in that direction. And that really goes to show just how willing Last Epoch 11-hour games are to change and take feedback from the community, and they're just honestly an amazing studio. So I'm going to do some rapid fire of the things that are coming in this season, and there's WASD support, and remember Last Epoch does have a dodge roll as well. There are a new monolith, which is the endgame content of Last Epoch. There are new bosses for the monolith. There is a new Uber boss called Uber Aberoth, so the normal Aberoth is going to be slightly easier, was very hard already, and Uber Aberoth is apparently going to be extremely hard. And I have been saying that I am likely making an Uber Aberoth race. Now with the delay, that makes it very easy for me. So I am collaborating with Shopify, and we're going to make some sort of Uber Aberoth race for the 17th. The Sentinel class gets a huge rework, and from what we're hearing, it should be super fun. They are going to add champion tier enemies, and these will have drop only mods. So it sounds like we're going to have a lot of different things competing for best in slot on gear, which is obviously, as ARPG players, we love that. That's a really cool thing when it's not just an obvious choice and like, yeah, of course, that's the best. So we're very excited to see that. There are more in-game crafting coming. Set tier items have been completely reworked. It's basically you have to break down some set items, others will be more powerful. A very scary thing about set items is that they always end up being best in slot, but now it sounds like it's going to compete with legendary potential, and you'll be using some of each, and depends a lot on what you're doing. But yeah, it should be honestly very interesting with the systems. There are really cool quality of life features coming as well, such as inventory management and stash management, with even the fragments for crafting being auto pickup. Unless you don't want to, if you do want to pick them up manually and deposit them manually, you can still do that. But either way, they do go directly into your character without you clicking that store button now. So we have Tombs of the Erased is coming as well, and the tombs are basically side zones in a echo, and they're procedurally generated with unique layouts. They are kind of similar to Val's side zones if you're a Path of Exile player, and they are going to be one of the main entry points to interact with the new Season 2 endgame. And there are cemeteries as well. These are displayed on the Echo Web, and then are an actual side zone there as well. They are larger, and completing them will have better rewards and stuff like that. They'll always have a boss. And woven echoes, kind of similar to unique maps, but they will also interact with the rest of the echo web, so they can like buff and add monsters to things in the areas around. I believe there was something with being able to traverse the echo web a little bit better too, so if you want to like skip one thing or it was something you didn't want to go through, you could put echo web there. But I haven't tried this stuff myself, so I'm very excited to actually see it all in action. But from the trailer, a lot of this stuff looks super cool. There are treasure rooms, bosses can have new unique items, and there's a new unique reward called Memory Ember. Which is the currency needed for progressing the Woven faction. And this is like a separate faction. You don't have to like choose whether or not you're doing this. This is something everybody will be doing. And there are unique mechanics for the zones. Like clickable cocoons will empower nearby enemies and drop more Memory Ember. There is a new in-game gear upgrade system for idols. It sounds super interesting. And you'll be able to reroll that as well and like really go for super in-game idols. So something Last Epoch does extremely well is its chase item system, and this is further expanding on that, where honestly, literally, I've never had as fun or as nice a chase with as fun itemization as Last Epoch does. But there will be like, you can upgrade the affixes on idols, you can add Weaver's Touch to it, and it looks super cool. Now, they are adding champion monsters, and they drop, I can't remember if it's called sealed legendary items or sealed exalted items, but either way, they have special drop-only mods, and the important thing here is you can't, like, use them to make a legendary in the Jewel Red Dungeon. For those that aren't familiar, Last Epoch has a really cool system called Legendary Potential, where you basically can smash an exalted item into a unique item with legendary potential, and if that unique item has 4 legendary potential, you can smash the entire item and get all the stats from both. Very, very cool system, very chase, and obviously 4 legendary potential is extremely rare, but finding 1 or 2 is pretty common. 3 is doable. 4, I think I've only had 1 item with 4, and it's extremely powerful. So very exciting system, and this is going to be competing with that, making us like have really hard choices on what type of gear we're going to be doing. And like we said, Aberoth is getting rebalanced, and there's going to be Uber Aberoth. With the base Aberoth is going to be easier than before. It was currently very hard. Very few people were able to kill him on hardcore. And there's going to be an Uber Aberoth will have additional moves and just be harder in general. Should be absolutely a crazy fight. Now, he does have 2 new unique items that are Uber only, and they are crazy. They look absolutely broken. As you can see in the background here, both of these really strong items, and they can drop with a legendary potential. The difficulty of these is going to be extreme, and it looks like we are making a race with Shopify for first Uber Aberoth on Soul Self and Hardcore. So that'll be very fun. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the set item stuff and crafting. The way it's going to work, from what we understand, is you can smash a set item into set shards, and you can use the shards on an exalted item, and that makes that item count towards the set bonus and can give you the set properties, which is going to be huge and build enabling, because now you have to choose, do you want set bonuses or do you want legendary potential items? And that is really hard, because obviously there's so much power in the legendary items. When you smash it with a really good exalted item, you get so much stuff. So just way more builds are available now. The majority of set items, like there were some that had really cool things, but since the base was sort of unusable, they just weren't really something you could wear on your character. And they are going to be dependent on what you got the shard from to promote item diversity. Like if gloves have a set affix from the same set as boots, they would give a different affix. So it should be very interesting. You can now use other versions of unique items. So let's say you find 3 Herald of the Scurries, but one of them has 3 legendary potential. You can actually use the other versions of Herald of the Scurry that maybe not be as good rolls to basically divine or reroll the stats, giving the duplicate rolls like a really great use. So you're really going to want to hoard maybe on unique items. So we have some new runes here. The Rune of Weaving basically speeds up the process of the Weaver's Will uniques. I think that's a pretty good solution. I also would have been okay with like a egg slot or whatever that you would like have it on your character and it would gain stats. But obviously it's a little annoying that you actually had to wear the item, because especially on hardcore, you might not be resist kept without the stats you want. So it's really hard to actually use the weaving stuff. So this will help a lot. Rune of Havoc as well looks incredibly cool. This is if you have an item with really, really good stats on it, but maybe, let's say, Summon Wolf is not exalted, but something that you don't really care about that much is, this can shuffle that around, so it'll make a lot more gear super viable, and we're going to see some crazy power creep with this. I do wonder how rare it is, but yeah, it looks super interesting for getting like tier 7 on the skill things that you want. And lastly, we have the Rune of Redemption. So if you find something with like tier 7 strength, this can reroll that into something else. So some very cool endgame crafting runes coming here. I'm really excited to use these. And obviously, in my opinion, the biggest thing is that you can respec your subclass. It is with a gold cost, and respecking has been super, super good in Last Epoch. It's not meant to be cheap, but it is supposed to be doable. And the example they gave was at level 85, it would cost 500,000 gold, which is not cheap, but it's super doable and you can easily farm that. And yeah, I think this is a really great change for Last Epoch. There are some other changes as well, like portal charms that allow you to skip directly to the endgame boss in the dungeon. It is a consumable item, but you probably will rack up some of those. So if you don't want to do the dungeon, then you will be able to skip that. Honestly, it looks like an absolute banger of a patch from 11 Hour Games. They've done a really, really good job. And it's no surprise why so many people have Last Epoch as their favorite RPG. And there are a lot of good ones out right now. So either way, extremely excited to play on the 17th of April. And I hope I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can buy Last Epoch through me on Nexus. We'll have a link for that in the comments down below. But either way, sub if you liked the video. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.